I was just going to start a video a second ago, and I was chomping away at some food, but I was getting too into it, So I thought, I don't, I know sometimes I'm a bit informal and a bit wacky, But if I'm just scoffing down food, I don't think anyone really wants to see that. I just got too into it, man. I was just proper thinking about food. Just a little bit of hunger just caught me off guard there. Getting to the end of the year, we're all done. I've got a bit of my taxes left to do, but I'm pretty much ready to, hand it all in. And funny enough, the past me got all of the monthly Etsy and eBay and stuff, got it all ready for me. So I went into it. I went into this little folder I made. It was all sort of already done. I'm like, I forgot I even did it. I'm like, yes. So now I've got to do the same for next year, Chris. So, yeah, it's been a bit of a slower year for sure. But this will be third year into the business. First went really well. Second went really well until it crashed. And then third year, did it crash in the third year? It crashed in the third year. First year went really well. Second year slowed down, but then I thought, all right, let's kind of do things properly. And then third year it crashed, and I've got equipment now. So, they say 10 years in it and it's going to sort out, but I don't think I've got that long. But there's no time to worry. There's no reason to worry. This world's crazy. You can't really. Just gonna keep going. Yeah, it's not a big deal. People spend £1,000 on a mobile app. There's just, I'd rather just risk it on myself, and invest in myself. So whether that's the food I eat, the equipment I have personally, like a car and a motorbike, and the lifestyle I live with the gym and the equipment I build for myself, which I can use personally and for business things. So yeah. I'd always do that. Like, I literally know people that have spent like $2,000 on nothing burgers. Like, I'm trying to think, but like people just like, yeah, I spent $2,000. Spent $2,000 on I'm trying to think, but there's loads of things people do all the time that they just don't think about and they spend money on. So I'm just like, right. Anyway, this video we are talking. I just wanted to talk about software. So, everything that every software I've come across, from your desktop softwares to softwares that come with machinery, you probably don't have to worry about it. But I will talk a little bit about the software machinery side of things. It's all very similar, but we'll get around to that. So, obviously, you want to start. If you want to start somewhere, you would want to start with the Adobe suite. I used to think I could do it all on Photoshop. I used to be so good at Photoshop, and it's amazing how quickly Photoshop has sort of outgrown me. Like, I go back onto it every now and then. I can figure out how to do things, but I used to be so fast, and I used to hate Illustrator. I just looked at it and thought, what is this clunky squares and everything's geometric? I used to be an illustrator with doing fine liners. I guess I still am, but I tend to do more digital stuff now. I do like to draw, though. I think drawing is quite important because you draw how you think. So drawing is still important, but I don't do it as much. But get a notepad, because even if it's your scribbles, you still understand it, just get those ideas down, because I do this all the time. I forget stuff. So I got really good at Photoshop, but I never messed with. I used Premiere Pro as well for video editing, and I used InDesign for compositions and text-based things, which I'm trying to think of a scenario when I used that back in the day. I definitely used it because I knew how to use InDesign before Illustrator, and that sort of messed with my head because the UI is the same, but it's not. So if you're one of the other, InDesign or Illustrator, you're gonna. It's quite easy once you've been using it as long as me, but that little crossover can just be a little pain in the ass, which makes you not want to do it. It's the reason why I haven't fully gone into Fresco yet on my iPad, which I would love to get into more. I'm going to go into, obviously, same with the new year, and do some more drawing, and I want to do some more animation on the Fresco. But everything's slightly different. It's like a different accent. I can use it. I've used it a few times, and I need to stop and just get on with it, because I've learned softwares in afternoons, because of how familiar you get with the Adobe suite. Everything's sort of the same thing, but not. So I got really good at Photoshop, eventually moved on to Illustrator I had to learn it because I got onto a laser engraver. So you have to learn strokes and such. So got into Illustrator, just realised it's just a superior. I mean, they have their uses. Photoshop's for photos, and you can do so much gnarly stuff on it now with the AI stuff. It's absolutely incredible. It just does the work for you now. You don't even need to use a magic wand. You just click and then grabs your face. It's crazy. It's crazy good. So I got into it due to you can argue CN. Is that CN? No, CN. Laser cutter. That's just a laser cutter, but it's still it's like technical drawings, isn't it? Yeah. All right, we'll go with that. So the technical drawings, I had to learn how to do it, and I learned all the math about it. I learned the equations, so like the CAD sort of side of it, and then I started using it for art. So I got into like more of the pen tool and blending and envelope wrapping stuff. It's really good for making funky type. And I'm pretty good at Illustrator now. I wouldn't trust anyone who says they know a software fully, because there's so many different ways of doing stuff that you can't ever really know. I know it's a bit cliche to even say that, but it's true. If you meet a young person in an interview and they say, I know Illustrator fully, it's just like, no, you don't. It's just a foolish sentence. It's like saying that you know every word. It's like in the English language. I'm pretty darn good at Illustrator, and obviously InDesign and Illustrator. I've worked in print houses where they use InDesign, and I argue with them, why aren't you using Illustrator? And they argue with me, why aren't you using InDesign? And I still haven't had a good reason why you wouldn't use Illustrator. They're both vector based, and you can put colors and spot colors and lines and such for cutting in both. So I guess that comes down to it. So if you are going into the print industry, learn one of them. I always find, don't want to be sexist, I always find girls like InDesign and boys like Illustrator. I've seen both do both, but that's how I've worked it. There must be there's something there, I think, but I'm not saying anymore. Don't want to get cancelled. Sorry, my hair's getting long, so I just have to my hair's basically a hat, so I have to wear a hat over my hat. And obviously Premiere Pro and such, you get with the Adobe suite now. And one thing I always undermined and underestimated, but Acrobat, what an incredible piece of software. And what I'll go there is, as far as, obviously it depends on your work rate and what you're doing there, if you are doing artwork and such, but there's plugins you can get for Acrobat. I should have probably researched them. I used them every day for 3 years and I cannot remember them. They're on my CV. There's an Impo one, and one that you can just click and it has actions, so it will take away drawing, cut lines and such. It hopefully will come back to me, and maybe next video I'll just shout it out. So if you get plugins, usually these softwares are about 700 quid for a static license, but if you are in that industry and you want to save time, a customer will give you a file. Oh, they've left the bloody cut lines in. You take it into Acrobat, press the software. Write in the comments if you want to know, because I'll look into it, but they're quite common. And And the Impo software is really good, but you can use Snake PDF as well if you need to use Impoing. And that's another thing you need to learn as well. You need to learn that there's a bit of math there with the Impoing. You need to know, what materials it is if you are going into print. You got to consider: do you want to dead cut it, which dead cut means go straight down the middle, or do you want to leave it kiss cut, or how do you want to do it? So when you're impoing it, you need to take into things into consideration. Maybe the guy on the guillotine doesn't like it that way, so you'll figure that stuff out there. But there's so many things to consider, and you'll get jobs when when you learn these things, and you'll just do it off by heart. But there's you think, oh, I'm being efficient, I'm impoing and doing dead cut, or it might have a bit of bleed, so you can't do that. So there's lots of things to consider. Then I talking about softwares that I learned really quick. I got into Corel Draw. Learned that in an afternoon. It's a great software for impoing like 50. We used to impo like long pieces of signage on a Makita printer, and we used to do most of it on on Corel Draw, and it has a plugin as well with the Makita plotter, where you can add your own marks and stuff, and it reads it. It's really good. I think that's more superior. I think that's similar to the GraphTech as well. The Roland have the dots and the little squares, which take up a lot of room. If you think about it, you've got your print and then it moves up a bit, you lose inches of material there. Is it necessary? But yeah, Corel Draw is very similar to Illustrator, but but it's more industrial, a little bit more CADdy, AutoCADdy, but it's simple. It's really simple. It's no bells and whistles. It's simple. Illustrator's a little bit more sexier, but again, you can probably do both on both. And you got to get those plugins, of course, for what you're working with. Plugins are just super effective, depending on your workflow. And Affinity is new now. It's great. If I can see the next couple of generations just using Affinity, because I remember when I was at uni, no one could afford the Adobe Suite. Even on the student prices, people just like getting pirate versions and stuff. So you think now, what is it, £50 a month? I don't think students want to pay that. So unless they're using it at the uni student computers, I think Affinity will low key come up in the next within the next 10 years. It's definitely going to be taking a bit of the market share from Adobe without a doubt. And that's Canva, isn't it? Canva owns Affinity. But there's lots of when you use machinery as well, you'll notice that a lot of the softwares are very similar. So from laser engravers, laser cutters, to big flatbed cutters, to plotters, they have a very similar clunky software connected to it with a little D-pad. In fact, the laser I work with now has a very similar UI, and they all do. It's basically a D-pad, length, height, X and Y, Zs, and all the rest of it. It's very mechanical-y, engineering sort of software, but it's fine. It's not once you get going, it's point and shoot. Once you get someone going on it, you got a process. They don't need to know everything. This is what you need to do. Make sure that this lines up with this. Go. It's you can point and shoot. It's not crazy. It's not crazy. And obviously the ripping softwares that you get with printers, Colorgate and Rasterlink, and what does Roland have? VersaWorks. These are just softwares which a lot of people don't even understand. They just think you can print from the file, which you can, but you want the ripping software is basically the way the file will communicate to the printer, and it will keep consistency. And you want to go through this translation, which is the ripping software. Also, you can turn off cut marks and such, and add whites in if you have a back color of whites and such, and you can flip it and it will tell you the size of the material and stuff, so you can input it better. I used to think there was no point in ripping software. So I'm like, why are people paying £2,000 for Colorgate? If you have a printing profile which tells you that like there's a profile for certain reds or certain greens which add more cyan or whatever into the file, or say like if you're using sublimation printing, you might need a little bit more ink on the material. That will be in the profile, so you can save that on the ripping software. And if you have a formula for something, you can sell it. You can say this is our numbers. You know, this has worked for us for 3 years. These are the inks we use. That's a product in itself, is it not? People will ask you for it. If they see you doing something well, they're like, how are you doing it? And there are good communities on Facebook and such where you can talk to people. Most people will just tell you upright if you're doing something wrong, or if the heat's wrong, or if your cutting strip's broken, or or something's at the end of its days. They can tell these things. It's a great little community actually. But so when it comes to softwares, you got your artwork and software, Illustrator, CorelDRAW, Affinity. I think GIMP's one as well. I've used GIMP before, but back in the day, this is when I was in a weird time in my life. And then you have your ripping softwares, Rasterlink, Colorgate, VersaWorks, and then you have the softwares that go with machineries, which are very mechanical, easy to roll, sort of tricky to master because you need to tame it, and you'll learn characteristics about the machines. They don't like cutting on the grain of the mat or da. So you'll pick these things up as you go. But if I had to start, I'd say start with the Adobe Suite. Pay that bit of money. These aren't sponsored. I wish they were, but I just thought I'd get this video out of the way. And what that does, that covers all bases. That covers photography with Photoshop and Lightroom, and you get the Adobe Suite. InDesign, again, those two are overlapping, and you'll just cover your own basis. I would say start with the Adobe Suite for a year. I suppose you don't even need to now. You can just do Affinity. We'll just get Affinity. Affinity covers all boxes now. You won't get Lightroom or Acrobat, but listen, if money wasn't an option, I'd say get the Adobe Suite and have it for a year. I know it costs money. There might be ways you can get some money off of students, student price or something. What I always do at the end of the subscription, just say you're going to leave, and they go, no, we'll give you it cheap. So there are ways, or leave, and if it doesn't give you anything, still leave, and you'll get an email like 5 minutes later saying we've got a great deal for you. So little life hack there. And that way you've sort of covered all bases. If you were to approach companies, they don't care about your portfolio. They just don't care. They want to know what manufacturing you've done. They want to make sure you understand bleed. They want to make sure that your file conversion's good, and how you understand. If you get a file where there's no linkage, that's when you use Acrobat, and you can pre-flight the image on Acrobat, which lets you allow to use it on Illustrator without no hustle and bustle. It like flattens live text that you don't have as well. I think they do that in CorelDRAW actually. Another use for CorelDRAW. CorelDRAW flattens live text that you don't have, so you don't have to faff around looking for the font if a customer sends you something. So another benefit of CorelDRAW, but CorelDRAW is a paid thing. I believe it's a static license, but don't quote me on that. I'm doubting myself now. I said that. I didn't want to show my yawn on video. Every video I yawn. I think I just talk so much, I just get carried away. But look, I do want to get more into the software side of things, and how I'll make like a mock-up brief and how I would go about it, set it up from software to ripping, to cutting, and I'll do a process video, and I hope this helps, guys. And I might do another video by the end of the year. There's going to be lots of alcohol involved. Not really much of a drinker anymore, but I can see it. I can see it. I missed it, Meg. Sort of. I can see booze. I can see. Yeah. Peace out, guys. Merry Christmas. All the goodness. I wish you all the best. And thanks for, was it 55 subscribers? That's crazy. Hopefully you're not all bots and you're real people. But if you are bots, that's also cool. I don't know what I'm saying now. Take it easy, guys. Like and subscribe. Peace out.